What's good, y'all? Today is day 8, and the word for today is boundaries. Boundaries. One of the things I recognize that continues to happen in my experience is that every time I really think I've learned something, the universe will throw it right back in my face. Even in this last week, I have seen that happen a few times already. And I know that's nothing but the testing of the lesson. Are you learning the things that you are supposed to be learning from your experiences? And if you are learning, what are you doing differently once you've had that experience? Right? So a lot of times we'll feel like if something happens, that means we're not supposed to do nothing with it, touch it, have any kind of involvement with it, engagement, etc. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we are supposed to look at ourselves and learn where we can do different, do better, where we can refine ourselves based on what our own personal direction is and our own goals and the things that we seeking to be aligned with. We can do our own self-assessment and do differently around some of our experiences, and that doesn't always mean to not have any more parts of them. Like, cancel culture is so real in our society right now that it's easy to get canceled out. Period. Point blank period. There's no other way to say it. It's easy to get the fuck canceled. It is. It may not be a permanent cancellation. It may be a pause on subscription or some shit. Either way, though, that's a real thing. And because everything that we do, see, experience, internalize, all that, we're the center of that. Our own beliefs, our values, our own mind and mentality, we are at the middle of that. And so learning how do we refine ourselves and our own engagement and behavior and limiting beliefs in order to be able to produce different results when we face with situations that we previously may have not done the best in. And it's okay to acknowledge, like, hey, man, I did not make good decisions over here. I have a pattern of, doing or not doing something over here. Like, it's okay to name those things about yourself, and it doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, I think it helps you level up, because then at least you know what you got to work on in order to address it. And you don't live in this illusion of yourself. You don't live in an illusion of yourself. I think one of the greatest gifts that I have found over this challenge so far is the ability to eliminate several illusions about myself, different things that I recognize that I may have wanted to change, needed to change, and or are not serving me. And the need to change or the want to change comes from asking the question, are you producing what it is you want to see in your life? And if you're not producing what you want to see in your life, what are you going to do different so that you can? Like, we are the ones that have to have that conversation with ourselves, and that's a mirror conversation. Like, hey, man, what the fuck we doing? Or, hey, we on track. We're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I want to encourage you to keep going. I want to encourage you to keep pressing. I want to encourage you to go the distance, to see it all the way through. Like, we have to be able to talk to ourselves. It's okay to acknowledge when we done good. And it's also okay to be honest when we still got growing edges and things that we could do different. I don't know who told us that criticism was bad. And maybe nobody told us criticism was bad. Maybe our experience of receiving criticism has been as such that it's traumatized us, depending on how we've received that or what the context or the circumstances has been. And there's also got to be this other thing too, where we go in and we address our experience. We address our subconscious and our psyche. Hey, when was the first time I ever felt like that? When was the first time I received criticism? How did it make me feel? Was it in a healthy way? Was it in a non-healthy way? And if it was in a non-healthy way, how have I been receiving criticism all my life since then? Is there something that I now believe as a product of that? Is there something that I may need to change in order to facilitate something different around that? Those are the types of questions that we ask ourselves that really become transformative to our lives. And so I've had to revisit some boundaries on this day because for whatever reason, the shit that I say I'm not dealing with, the people who want to do that shit always come back. It's just like, man, you know, I'm not mad at you for coming back. One, I'm mad at myself for having been in a position with you the first time for you to behave the way that you did. But two, how do I want to open myself up vulnerably in order to see how you're going to behave again? How much space do I want to give you to be a repeat offender? And that's a power question, you know what I'm saying, in terms of how much we give, how much we keep away. But it all boils down, our ability to engage in those things, to what kind of boundaries we have in place. Because if we have the appropriate boundaries together within ourselves, we can deal with anything and anybody. It's just a matter of what you're open to, what you're willing to be committed to. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with naming what those things are either. That way you clear about what the fuck you're doing, and anybody else that you come into contact with can be clear too. Because you've lined it out for yourself, it's easy to articulate it for somebody else. I tell people all the time, you cannot give other people a level of honesty to them that you have not given to yourself. That is a requirement of us all, right? The ability to stand in the mirror and to have that conversation with yourself about everything that's a product of your actions, behaviors, beliefs, values, etc. So I'm not going to keep harping on that. What I want to say is that was a pervasive lesson that came back almost like 3 times in one day. And Spirit's like, what you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you keep telling me what you're committed to. And I don't want you to cheat on yourself for opportunity or greed, or because you have desires that you haven't articulated. Like, you got to figure that thing out. And the only way to do that, keep it 100. So it's my advice today, y'all. Keep it 100. Look yourself in the mirror, assess yourself, judge yourself, stand corrected before yourself. That way, when anybody else bring it to you, not only can you receive it, but you can know well enough to know whether or not that's your shit or whether they're projecting their shit onto you. Because a lot of times people will bring us shit that ain't even ours. And because we don't even know what shit is in our own bag and in our own space, what's ours, we'll let somebody tell us that some shit is ours that ain't. Just because we don't know what is. So I encourage us to all do that. To encourage yourself, to tell the truth about yourself, to celebrate your wins, celebrate your milestones, celebrate how far you've come, celebrate all of the things that you've allowed yourself to do differently and to do better than you may have before. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Also, ain't nothing wrong with saying, hey man, I got to get my shit together, in the words of Big Sean. Hey, that man is prophetic in his own right, man. I really fool with him. But yeah, I love y'all. Have a wonderful day. Keep your boundaries intact. Check yourself. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.